Ashley, and this is Let's Talk Recovery Houston. So I'm super excited about the guest today. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like Facebook stalked him for a little while because some of the posts are very interesting, and I love his attitude of gratitude thing on his page. And I was like, you know, I think this person is gonna have a good story. And so this is my new friend who is going to share his story with us.
Well, thank you, Ashley, for asking. My name is Todd, and I am an alcoholic and an addict, and that is a fact. And so when Ashley asked me to share, I've told my story before, and I should ask this real quick, Ashley. Where am I looking?
You can look there. Some people end up shifting and looking at me.
All right. Just got to get that out of the way. And I had shared my story just recently, and so when I thought about this, I wanted to share a little bit about where I'm at today and how that applies to some of the steps that we work in recovery. And so I always like to start off with Charles Dickens and say, it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. Then it was the best of times, then it was the worst of times, and now it truly is the best of times for me. My story, I don't have the big traumatic childhood experience. So I had some things happen, but I noticed at a very, very young age that I just didn't feel whatever the normal should have been. I always felt off. I always felt like something was missing, this void. I needed to be perfect. I needed you to love me. I needed affirmation. And so what I learned at a very early age is that if I'm the best at everything, people will applaud you and they'll pat you on your back. And so that was my childhood, is I had to be the best, the absolute perfect at everything I did, and it's exhausting to live that way. Part of my story is that I have a sexual molestation at a very young age, and it doesn't matter what led me down the road. What I've learned is that my opinion is that I think we're all kind of born with this void, and for me it all has to do with this higher power that I have that I call God, and that He gave me this to decide either you choose Him or you choose this world to fill that void. And I didn't know that at that age. I mean, this is all me now, reflecting back. But so I used the world to fill the void. That's what I used. I used other people's love for me. I used being told how great I was. I had, family, this running joke, I was the golden child. And so at a very early age, it was all about someone telling me how good I was, because I didn't feel good myself about me. I had low self-esteem. I didn't have much confidence. But then if I'm the best at something, that elevates me and I don't feel less than. And so that was my youth. That's what I was. And so I was very good at a lot of things. Everything came very easy. School was easy. I got, almost straight A's all the way through and never had to really apply myself to do that. Sports, I wanted to be the best. And part of my, struggles as a child was that if someone was better than me at something, then I wanted to be better at that than them. I wouldn't give them the day to have something different than what I was doing, and that's so selfish. And that's truly how I lived my life, was that I had to know everything, I'd be better at everything, and so that's kind of what got me into a point of where about, I guess it was, my first real drinking was probably at 13 with my uncles. And this is in a time when Coors could not be sold east of the Mississippi. And we lived in Ohio. That's where I grew up. And so my mamaw, Manchu, with her boyfriend, he had a special delivery of Coors. And we thought it was going to be so fun to drink it. And he was so mad. But I got sick, and of course, the story of most of us that, can't wait to do that again, right? I mean, it was a miserable experience the day after, but it did start something of where, it felt fun, right? It was so fun, but really what started this changing how I feel was I was a freshman in high school, and I got drunk with my friends for the very first time, not just in the family drinking a beer here or there, but actually got drunk, and it was Mad Dog 2020.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of our first experience in the magic world of alcohol. But it literally made me feel how I always wanted to feel. I was confident, I was funny, I was just everything that I thought that the world would want me to be and how I wanted to feel inside happened. And so my high school years were basically just drinking. I mean, that's what we did on the weekends. And this is another part of my story, that I learned how to live those two lives. I was this perfect kid, this perfect student, this athlete, everything that the society said, wow, that is such an amazing young man. And every weekend I'm just getting drunk and acting like a fool. Because then that was another side of that, is that if I made them laugh, I thought they liked me. So then I would act like a stupid idiot. I mean, a clown. I was a class clown without even knowing it. And so high school was just, it was great. Like I said, I mean, I had an amazing mom, amazing dad, loved me, had a humongous, awesome family. My mama, my grandmother was just, it was perfect. But alcohol already took its hold of that. I can make you feel how you want to feel. You know, I always joke and say that I could be in a room of 100 people and 99 will love me. They will love me to death, and one won't. And I'll spend all night with that one wanting to know why they don't love me. And I will forsake those 99. And that's kind of what happened. And then, so college comes, and get an academic scholarship and got some other scholarships, and I was like, great, you know. But that's what I learned is that once I was free from that perfection and fear of disappointing my parents and having to be up every day for school, I just drank. That's all I did in college, is drink. I figured out that I could go and take these classes, and I could go just the minimum amount of time and pass the class with a C and get to do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. But now this progression had started, and again, I don't see these things at that time. Like when I'm active, I can't see that I'm active in something that is destroying my life. All I start focusing on is, you know, when's the next event, right? And I suffer from FOMO, fear of missing out. And I felt like if I didn't go out every night, I was going to miss out on the most exciting night of my life. So college grades are now, you know, because I'm dropping more classes than I'm taking, and I'm getting an academic scholarship, so school's paid for. And this is when it starts this cycle in my life. And in our literature, it talks about, you know, people are changing relationships, changing jobs, changing cities, changing, thinking that will make the difference, right? Because I know I'm not happy. You know, I'm drinking, but I'm not happy. I'm still miserable, because when I'm not drinking, I'm miserable. And I'm still awkward around people. I still don't like who I am. And so I couldn't drink enough to change those things, because I think that's the most prevalent thing with this disease, is that you never change that. You think you're drinking or using something to make you feel how you want to feel, but you haven't changed you at all. So you are you. And if you're this, you know, if you have a hole or a void or whatever, and you're trying to fill it with all these things, it's never enough.
Yeah.
And my story cycles that over and over. So I do my first big thing. I'm like, you know what? I need to go back home. That is exactly what needs to happen. That's the cure to all this and change. I need to go live at home, go to college near my house. I'll do that, right? So I do that. Well, now I get back to my enabling mom and codependency relationship that we were so good at for so long, and I haven't suffered any consequences. You know, the only consequences I've suffered up until my mid-20s is just the lies and the shame and the guilt, but I never had any huge consequence on the outside. I never got in any legal trouble, never gotten any fights. I wasn't that kind of guy, and so I still was able to lead these two lives. I could convince everyone, and then hopefully convince me, that I was this great, you know, nice, good person, but ultimately I just wanted to drink. And then about 20 I guess it was about 24 years old, I was at a party with some guys that I worked with, because now I'm deciding, well, maybe it's a job I need, and I'll put school off, and so I get this job, and I'm with FedEx, and and I'm driving a truck and making all this money, living at home with no bills, thinking I'm the richest guy in the world, and I was at a party, and these guys were in another room, and they were over this mirror, and I saw them go down. And they did that. Now, I'd never seen that stuff before. I grew up in a town that, weed was probably around, and I'm sure there were these other drugs, but I just never seen it, never knew it. But I was in a state that I was definitely going to try it that night, and I did. And I'd like to say a love affair, a real dysfunctional love affair with cocaine started at that time. Now, luckily, it was expensive, and I didn't have the money to do it as much as I wanted to, but it definitely, that was the first of the ultimate high of where that is exactly how I wanted to feel. I still, my disease teaches me that I've been chasing that night ever since, and I've never, ever got that same feeling again. But I keep thinking the lie, the denial in my head is that the next time it will be just like that night. And I've wanted that night for so many years again, and I never got it back. But that's what I'm chasing when I use. I'm chasing that night, because it was an amazing night as far as I felt that night. So my 20s are, this basically, change, well, it's the job. Well, then it's a relationship. Or no, I need to go back to school. And so I did. I went back to school, and I got my degree in marketing, because I knew that was the easiest one to get, and I could talk, and I love being in front of people. And so got a marketing degree, and immediately was in IT sales. And about 6 months at that job, I'm living near Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was in inside sales for an IT company, and my accounts were Houston. So I was supporting the sales reps for Shell and Texaco and Enron. Some people remember those names. And one of the reps left, and they asked would I like to move to Houston. Again, yes, yeah. That's the answer. It has to be. It has to be that, I'll start making every excuse and rationalize and justify every which way I can that it's where I'm at is the problem, not me. And as we all know, wherever I go is where I am. Right. And I take me with me. I don't leave me behind when I go somewhere different. And so come to Houston, and I had never been in a big city like Houston in my life. And first night out drinking, doing cocaine, it was the greatest. It was like, wow, this is the best town ever. This is going to be great. A few months later, not even a year maybe, I was losing that job that I got moved down here, but I'm not leaving this town. So Mama comes and saves the day again, and our codependency and enabling, and part of my story I'll share is where we're at today with that, and how healthy you can get when we both create boundaries that are meant to be that we never did, and and this has nothing to do with her. This is all to do with me. And so she comes down and saves the day. So then I got this in my, it's Houston. I need to move back to Ohio and live with my dad. That's the key. That's the answer. And all I'm doing is just running from one place to the other, doing the exact same thing, expecting different results. And I think that's where we're going to get to. Work on insanity pretty soon. And so 6 months, 7 months in Ohio, that's not where I need to be. I can't keep a job. I need to move back to Houston because there's jobs here. It's all about the economy in Ohio is terrible. I need to move back here.
So great here.
I need to move back here. This is where this is the solution. This is going to fix everything. The place I just left. Live with Mom, and this is kind of, so the first step talks about I'm powerless over, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. And then there's this dash, and it says that our lives have become unmanageable. I don't know any of this at that time, but the powerless of the drug of choice is so deep rooted in me that I tried everything that that book talks about. I tried to change, I'm only going to drink on the weekends. I'm only going to drink at home. I'm only going to drink beer. I'm only going to do these things, right? So I'm searching, right? Because I'm miserable. I don't have any peace. I don't even know what serenity looks like. Only humility I know, it ends in ation, humiliation. I knew a bunch of humiliation, didn't know any humility. And as selfish and self-centered, self-seeking as anyone on this planet at that time. So I meet a woman. It's going to be another part of the story, the cycles. I meet a woman, and we met at a bar. She's not one of us. She's a school teacher. Well, that's what they did in summers when they were off. They would go out.
Yeah.
Right? I thought I was meeting one of me, right? Because we had a great time. We were doing tequila, and it was awesome. And oh yeah, I met one of me, and you know, I looked at this, and I wanted to feel how I wanted to feel about her, and I think that there was a great chemistry, and we were perfect for each other. I just wasn't perfect for anyone at that time. That's the problem. But she was 30, I was 31. Her biological clock is ticking. She wants kids. I've always wanted to be a dad. So we met in July, and I proposed in October, and we were married the next July. The thing is that I wanted both lives again. You know, the common denominator in my story is that I want both. I want love. I want this amazing thing that God offers us on this planet of relationships and family and friends. I want all that, but I also want to go and do what I want to do when I want to do it and how I do it. And that doesn't mesh very well when you're married and that person is like, why are you keep going out on the weekends and leaving me, and not staying with me? Why are, And I would come up with every lie and every excuse known to man. And again, I'm doing cocaine whenever I can. I would create these fantasy island weekends where I would tell her I'm going hunting for the weekend. I don't hunt. I don't even know what that is. But I would go and buy a bunch of dope and then go and then come back, on a Sunday night, guilt, shame, remorse, regret, and then say, that's it, I'm not going to do that again. And so here's where the story starts. We have a child. That should do it. It should be a baby boy. I got a boy even. I mean, I remember when Jake was born in 2003. I never had been so happy for a moment than I was when he was born and I was holding him in my arms. But that wasn't enough. It just wasn't. I still don't have any huge consequences. I'm a lying and a cheating and a stealing kind of guy that always finds a way to finagle and get out of something. And I have moments of being, a decent person enough that they'll kind of, well, we'll just let that go, and because he's a good person, right? People see in me that I don't see at the time, and so then we have another son. This is 2005, October of 2005. Now this time is a little different. Still the same joy and happiness, but I was excited that she was going to have to be in the hospital for 3 days because I was going to drink and do drugs while I had my child, 2-year-old at the time, with me. That's where my mind went. So I'm cycling, right? And, we talk about bottoms. And so I'm cycling, and that toilet bowl is flushing, and I'm getting close, getting real close. Now, I had a great job, and what I learned is that I'll have a job, and a job will be enough for a little bit. These things were always enough for a little bit, and that's why they're temporary. That's why it's not a power greater than my disease. Changing a job, having a child, getting married, moving to a new place is a temporary power that fills the void, but it goes away, it dissipates, and then what's left is the monster, the gorilla on my back. And I had this great job, was just truly blessed in an amazing field, making more money than I ever deserved. And I started not going to work all the time. And they were not happy, but they loved me because I'd done such great work. And so, they didn't want to fire me. They just said, well, why don't we move you to do something else? And, well, no, I needed to do the job. That wounded my pride, my ego, that I was going to be taken off the account that I helped grow and build into one of the largest ones they had. I was like, I can't. I need a new job. So I went and got a new job because people love me. They're like, yes, we hire you. Yes, great. We'll give you this money. And I'm like, great, I need this new job. And so March, I guess the 10th, maybe the 11th of 2006, first day of the new job. I'm supposed to go to this new job. And you know what? I feel like I want to drink today. And I called in and said, I can't make it. My son's in the hospital. I used my son as an excuse. So my goal, my intent was just this one day, and I said, I'll be in tomorrow. I didn't come home for a week. I have a 5-month-old child, a 2-year-old child, a wife that I didn't even call. I didn't even answer the phone. I didn't do any of that. My drugs and alcohol were way more important than how much I love my family. And I learned my children, the love I have for my children should be enough. It should be enough. It is for most people that aren't like me. But it was not enough for me. It just wasn't. I could be the most outstanding father ever when I wanted to be, but I will forsake my children in a second to get high or get drunk. So on March 18th, day after St. Patty's Day of 2006, I finally called her. And all she said is, bring the car back. And that night was the first time that I've ever been in a homeless state. Now, when I woke up on March 18th, I looked in the mirror. I didn't know where I was at. I don't know how I even got to this apartment. And I said, I just don't want to feel like this anymore. And I don't know what to do. Now, I didn't pray to God. I didn't have any relationship with God at this time. I mean, I had a belief. I didn't have any relationship. That's a big difference. Me believing in God is not the same as me having a personal relationship. And I did not have any relationship. I was the 911 God. I called him when I needed help.
Please help me.
Yeah, anytime I needed help. Yeah,
again.
always call him when I need help. And my journey has taught me I need a 411 God. I need information. I need guidance. I need direction. I don't need the emergency God anymore. And so I slept outside, and I was, pitiful and sad, and just felt, so much shame and guilt and remorse and regret and all those horrible, evil feelings. But I didn't want to drink or use. It was a moment of clarity that morning. I didn't know what I was going to do. I really didn't. I had no idea. I just didn't know. So I sleep outside, and my wife at the time, because we're still, we were married, obviously, and she said, you're gone, you're out, just bring the car back. Well, after the end of that day, she let me sleep in the back of the yard, but I had to leave before the kids got up, just because it was raining. Of course it rains the first time.
Right?
First time I'm
That's
ever,
our luck, right?
the first time I'm ever going to be homeless and sleep outside, it's got to rain. Well, that next day I got up and I just started walking in. I lived in Katy. I just started walking in Katy. I fell asleep on a park bench somewhere, and I didn't know what to do. I really didn't. And my phone barely had any charge left, and I got a phone call. And my wife's sister and her husband, so my in-laws, he was in recovery, different 12-step program. And they actually said, we believe in you. We know what that's like, because he does, of that powerless of not being able to stop doing, even though you know it's the worst thing in the world for you. And if you're willing, we will pay for treatment.
Wow.
I don't know if it was so much that because I can tell you this, it wasn't so much that I didn't ever want to drink again, I just didn't want to feel like that again. And so I said yes. I was desperate. Yes. So I sat in a hotel crying for 3 days before they found a bed at the park, Memorial Hermann Prevention and Recovery Center. Now, I don't know anything about treatment. I don't know anything about that. Don't know anything about AA. I remember during the years when I was drinking and married before that had happened, is that, she said, you have a problem. And I'm like, I don't have a problem. I go, and to P's, I said, I'm going to go to AA, so I went online, figured out what AA was, learned some of the words and stuff, and told her I had a sponsor, I was working, the steps and stuff. I mean, that's the kind of lying and rationalizing I do. And here's the thing about what happened is that it worked. I hear people sharing my story, and I never even met them, from walks of life I've never been in. And then I'm introduced to this book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm like, oh my God, how was this written in the late 30s, and it's describing me to a T. And so I finally got the seed planted of exactly how and why I was different than everyone else. And I got a sponsor, like they said. I spent 28 days in treatment. My wife did not want me back. Was able to get a job immediately, lived in a 3-quarter house, was able to get a car, working the steps. 7 months later, my wife wants me back, moved back. Year after that, I'm facilitating aftercare. I mean, I'm an AA superstar. I mean, I am loving life. 2 years, great. 3, now I've got the great jobs, just absolutely fantastic jobs. And my kids, I'm coaching now, they're at that age. I mean, my life is better than I could have ever scripted it. Now, I would like to say that all that should have, taught me this relationship with God. But what I've learned is that I did surrender to Him at that time. But as I was sharing with you before this started, I did it with conditions. And I can see that today. I can look back and recognize that I surrendered only if I get these things back. And I got them back. And I got it tenfold. He blessed me way beyond anything I deserved at that time. And then I got a daughter, Grace Jewel. It was like, Daddy's little girl. Life is so great. I got well. I got busy. I wanted to do everything in the world for my kids and my wife. I wanted to immerse myself in what I'm doing is I'm using all of this outside again to change how I feel. And I remember after about 5 years of sober, I told my sponsor, I don't have time anymore to sponsor me. I just don't have the time. I'm too busy. Then I don't have time for meetings. I just don't have the time for meetings. And then I didn't tell him this, but I think you got the hint. I don't have time to call you. And then the last thing is, I don't have time for you. I don't have time for you, God. You got other people. I'm great. Man, this is perfect. Go, help them. I'm fine. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Now, 5 years of sober up until almost 8 years. Those last 3 years, that's why that dash is so important to me in that first step. Even if I'm not putting alcohol or drugs in my body, my life is unmanageable. See, I learned that working the steps the first time, but it really didn't mean anything until, as you hear the rest of my story, that I have a spiritual malady. I could go the rest of my life and not put anything in my body, and I've satisfied somewhat of that first part of the first step, but my life will become unmanageable in a second. It has nothing to do with drugs and alcohol that my life is unmanageable. It helps it, it's a symptom of it, but my life will always be unmanageable when I'm running on my own will, because I'm irritable, restless, discontent, I have a void, I'm using the world, money, sex, women, whatever. I will use everything in the world because I can't live in my own skin when I'm just on my own. I just can't. So the first step talks about I'm without defense against the first drink. Now, when I read that the first time, I have a whole different, story that happens here in a second than that first time. I don't know, I just liked how I was feeling by doing what they were telling me to do, and I don't know how much I really paid attention to all the words that I was reading, but I sure loved helping people, and I loved what sobriety was giving me, and I loved this new relationship I was forming. But I forgot that magic thing. It says that I'm without defense against the first drink, which means that I will always, 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 as an alcoholic or an addict, take that first drink. Now, unless, as the book says, the magic word unless, meaning that there's hope, unless I find a power greater than me. Because when I find that power greater than me, I actually now have a defense against that. The big book talks about, I have a daily reprieve based upon the maintenance of a spiritual condition. So, 7 years, 9 months, and a couple days, the lurking notion that I may be able to drink again successfully is always in this diseased brain. And when I don't have that defense, when I don't have a power greater than myself, and that lurking notion, if it comes out in this brain, I will immediately figure out a way to drink. I won't remember what just happened. I can't without, I forget, let me see how it goes. Let's see, I can't remember the suffering and humiliation of a week, month, year, 10 years ago. I can't even recall, because now all I remember is the 15-year-old kid that drank the first time and the 24 or 25-year-old kid that did cocaine the first time. That's the lurking notion. See, that's what I've learned. That lurking notion is not about, having some peace and some ease. It's that I want to feel exactly like I did that day on that time when it finally changed how I feel, how I wanted to feel. And I lied to my wife and said I was going to go to a friend's house that the real good friends of ours, and watch a UFC fight. And I was going to have a drink. That's it, just going to have a drink.
Just one, I can control it.
I think it was December 27th of 2013. Just going to have one. Well, maybe another, but I'm only going to do, I'm going to do vodka and Red Bull, because that way she won't smell it and stuff. But it literally, by the time the first glass was done, and the second one, now, how funny, I picked the bar where I kind of knew where dealers were. Subconsciously, well, maybe I'll do some cocaine tonight too, because didn't plan on it. But boy, oh boy, did I immediately start sniffing around, literally, and got my drug of choice, which is cocaine. See, alcohol will always be that first thing that beats me down, and to let me then go to what I really want to do, because cocaine is really the devil in me. So I did. I came home 2:30, was going to lie. She could smell it. I was obviously inebriated. But you know what? I think she had been kind of waiting. Our marriage was decent, but, I don't know if she was ever going to be okay with the past, in a sense that she's always going to think that it's going to happen. And it did. And it did, and it happened bad. So 2014 is my horrible attempt at trying to get back in the rooms. Now see, one of the problems with self-will is that when you do work the steps, one, it ruins any drinking you do later. I mean, that's a fact. And two, you know what to do. You don't have to have all that pain. I know, I immediately on day one wanted to be on step 12. I didn't want to have to go and do all that again. I'm like, I know it, great, life is great. Man, some self-knowledge availed me nothing. Me knowing how to work the steps and thinking that I could just walk right back in the day after that. All I did in 2014 is just, I had the finger on the toilet bowl for the second time in my life. And I just, pressing, because I didn't want to quit. I wasn't done. And then finally, she had enough. And the day before Thanksgiving in 2014, she said, that's it. Because I'm hiding it. Now I'm the guy that I was like, now I'm this guy, hiding vodka in the garage, I'm sneaking drinks, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm still coming up with these excuses and lies to go away, to go do what I want to do. Not even thinking about my kids, not even thinking about, how much I love them, how I would jump in front of a bullet, but boy, I'd sure forsake them in a second. Powerless. I had no defense. I had none. With him and I he's giving me all these life preservers. He's trying. He's like, you don't have to fall. You don't have to do this. Nah, I got it. You go help someone else. So when she told me the day before Thanksgiving that, it was over and that I could stay till New Year's, oh, you don't tell this active alcoholic and addict at that time that I can stay my house, my, so I said, okay, Now, the smart play, the sensible play, the more sane play would have been, well, okay, maybe I can get myself together and maybe she won't leave. Oh, no. No, that day after Thanksgiving, we faked Thanksgiving. When family was over, we faked that. And that day after Thanksgiving, I was gone. The promises tell me that we will not regret the past, nor will we want to wish to shut the door on it. I'm not there yet with that regret. Because the day I left, the day after Thanksgiving, I didn't tell them I was leaving. I didn't even say goodbye to my kids. I mean, these three angels, these three amazing, amazing gifts from God. I named my daughter Grace because it was an undeserved gift. All I could think about was me and what I wanted to do, and how I wanted to get out of there, and how I wanted to go to this place, and how I wanted to get drunk, and how I wanted to just escape. And so that's a regret. It's hard not to, want to have that day over again. But the thing about a time machine I've learned is that a time machine would be great to go back and redo that day. But if I go back and don't leave that day, did I change me? I may have changed the decision at that moment, but I was still me, meaning that whatever was going to happen was going to happen. A time machine does not fix that. That's how I deal with the past, is that I let it, I remember it. I have that little bit of regret that I know, God and I, we got a plan. I do what I'm supposed to do, and He does what He's supposed to do, and we'll just see about that. But that's one of those moments. And so that, didn't have anywhere to live, didn't have any money, because I couldn't keep a job that last year or so because, I just didn't. I didn't ask her to sell the house or anything like that. I had one moment of redemption, I guess, and that, I really wanted them to be okay. But I lived in my truck at Walmart. Googled it. Love Google. Where's the safest place to live? Safest place to live in your car? All kind of Walmart parking lot.
or Buc-ee's, but they probably didn't have Buc-ee's.
No,
back
no,
then.
Buc-ee's was a little too far away. Yeah, so I did. So I lived in my truck, and this is where another part of the big book just stood out to me today. You know, as the alcoholic life seemed the normal one. It seemed normal to live in your vehicle at Walmart and have a storage unit as your closet and go and get free memberships all around the town to use as your shower. That seemed like the normal life. Now, the next few years are really the same story. Basically, there's this saying that I heard, and it says, God loves me so much, He loves me so much, He'll let me fall all the way. And He will let me fall all the way until I reach that moment when I do get on my knees and I tell Him, I can't. You can. I'm going to let you. That's our first 3 steps. I can't, He can't, I'm going to let Him. So, 2015, 2016, 2017 is just numerous failed attempts at trying, but I'm getting there. That desperation's getting there. I'm getting closer to this where He's to fall all the way. See, I don't believe in bottoms anymore. The bottom is death. This is not a bottom for me today. This is where I gave the shovel up and I said, I'm done digging. I am on my knees and I am yours. Because I can go lower. Even the consequences I've had, there could be worse. Death is still waiting me if I want to go out there and tempt this disease again with that lurking notion. So I go through and, my mom coming down, she lives here, and we're back in our codependency and enabling states, and we're just, miserable, living in such dysfunction. Meet a woman. Here we go. That's the answer. A relationship, and she was an amazing woman. Amazing. And moved in, had plans to get married. I had started going to some meetings before that, and I was starting to work the steps, but I was nowhere near spiritually fit to handle the thoughts that I was having because she went away for a weekend. And I go through her closet, and I find jewelry. And I know, I can tell that these are things that are not worn a lot, that wouldn't be missed for a while. And I rationalized and justified in my brain that I could pawn these, buy them back before she even knows they're gone. Buy them. I did that for a couple months, over and over and over, until finally, April 18th, 2018, that is my sobriety date. No, I'm sorry, April the 11th. My sobriety date is 2018, if something happens. April the 11th, it was a week before. April the 11th, I could not live with myself anymore. I had finally reached enough guilt and shame and regret and remorse. I hated me. I hated me at the core. I didn't have a relationship with my kids. I didn't have a relationship with my family. I mean, I was just miserable, and it was horrible. And I told her what I did because I couldn't live with it anymore. Now, telling her what I did not take away the pain, the regret, the shame, and the misery, because all I did was I confessed to her. I'm still in that. She's debating, do I forgive him? What do I do? Do I kick him out? Whatever. Until April 17th. Could not live with myself anymore. And all I wanted to do was escape. I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to get high. I just didn't want to feel. And I took about, I don't know, I think it was, when they said it was like almost 150 Benadryl. I was done.
Yeah.
I was ready to check out. I mean, I was done. I did not want to feel again. I woke up at the hospital. I come to, really. at the hospital on April the 18th. There's no one there. There's no one there. Now, this is a man that I shared with you about all these people that love me, and all these people that, this family, this humongous family, and my mother who lived in Houston at the time, and all these friends and people, and in that 8 years of sobriety, and all the people, that I interacted with. Not a single person was there. And this voice said, if you don't change, you're going to die alone. I got on my knees. I had those little footies that they give you because I didn't even have shoes when I came in. I got on my knees and I surrendered for the very first time with no conditions. Because I knew now, after what I had done, that she's angry, she's mad. She's probably going to, I'm going to have some legal consequences. Now, I've never even had a speeding ticket up to this point in my life. But I got on my knees and I said, I will do whatever you ask of me, I will do without any reservation or any complaining. You asked me earlier about the attitude of gratitude guy. That day is when I said, I will be grateful for whatever. I just don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to hurt anyone anymore. I don't want to chase something I'm never going to get. I don't want anymore. So I will be grateful for whatever. I don't care if you say I will never leave a 4-foot square apartment. I don't care. I will be grateful for whatever, as long as you help me not be this again, because I don't want to be this anymore. So I went, and I didn't have anywhere to go. My mom wasn't going to let me stay with her, so I went to the Salvation Army. I had been there before, and I'm okay. I have no fear. I wasn't scared. They're like, oh my God, but what if she presses her? I go, then she does. I knew then that if I trusted in God, if I totally surrendered to God, right, that if I came to believe in a power greater than myself, He can restore me to sanity as the second step. And then if I make that decision to give Him everything, to turn it all over to Him, what do I need to worry about? I was done with fear that day. Now I have moments, where I'm the unknown. I have some doubt. I don't know what's going on, but I really don't have the fear that I used to have, and being scared of what was going to happen. And so May, 12th, 13th, about 3 weeks later, the sheriff show up. And here are some moments that, that God started just showing off. I mean, not just, being, hidden and being a coincidence or being, He's showing off. So the detective comes and he's like, I'm here. I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, I need to read you your rights. I said, okay. And he goes, no, we're not going to arrest you. We just want your story. And I said, okay. He goes, now, do you need an attorney? I go, no. He goes, are you sure you don't want an attorney? I said, no. I said, this is what I said. I did it. I did it. I'm not running from it. I'm not scared of it. I admit it. That was me. Here are the places I went. This is where you can go find, the pawn stuff. The jewelry's gone. Where you can find proof that it was sold there. And he was like, I've never had anyone just
admit to it,
confess like this without even trying. I go, what is there to hide from? I'm in the the administrator of the Salvation Army is in the room because I want him in there as the witness to sign. I go, I'm ready to sign. I did it. And that's when I remember telling him, I said, I've surrendered already. Before you came in here, I've already surrendered. I accept whatever happens. And this is an amazing moment. Now here's the detective. At the end of my, kind of giving my statement, he looked at me, he looked at the guy, and he goes, the administrator, who's their chaplains or priest, he goes, will you pray for us? I feel like we need to pray right now for this young man. I mean, we're all bawling. We're on our knees. I'm here with this detective that doesn't know me from Adam. Here's my story, administrator, you know, and that was the moment when I knew I'm going to be okay. God's got me. A week later, he comes back. He's like, she's pressing charges. We need to arrest you. This first time ever in handcuffs. Got arrested. Went to the county jail. Now, I'm still in this state of kind of, okay, God, you know, I said I would do anything you asked, so, you know, I'm relying on you here. This is new for me. I don't know how to do this, and so, but I'm in peace. You know, our big book talks that if I trust in him, through him, if I align my will with him, he will match calamity with serenity. I'm in the most clamorous place, you know, that's the word, but I had serenity that whole time. I go into my cell, and there's 3 men, there's 2 bunk beds. And they walk in, oh, you're the new guy, you know, and all this and stuff. And they said, oh, we're going to talk about it, women and drugs, okay? And I was like, whatever you guys, within a week, we're all reading out the big book together. You know, I learned that if I keep working on me and I change me, I can have an influence on others that I don't even have the ability to do by myself. I know who's doing that. And so I'm in the most chaotic place, and I have no chaos in me. And I just every day would just wake up and say, okay, you know, what do you want me to do today? What is it today, God? Now that's 6 months. I'm there. And now we're reaching the point of where sentencing is coming. And I'm not sure where, you know, this is all going to go. My attorney wants to fight it. She's like, there ain't no way. She's just saying how much that jewelry is worth, because you get charged on appraised value, not what you pawned it for. Mm-hmm. That's why I have a 2nd-degree felony. Okay. And I said, I don't want to fight it. I did it. What is there to fight? She goes, you just don't get it. She wants you to go to prison. And I said, okay, well, what's my other option? Well, you'd have to do 10 years probation. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound like that's very easy. That sounds like a long time. Yeah, and I said, how long are they offering? And she said, 3 years. And you're going to get parole immediately. She goes, I know it. I go, well, then I go to prison. I stopped fighting what I think is best for me. What is best for me got me in prison. Me thinking that. So I go to prison, and I get protected by God in so many instances. When I look back, I'm like, how did I even get out of that situation without? Because it can be a very horrendous place. And there are moments when it's not. There are some really, 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 really good people that I met, inmates and offenders. And then there were some really bad people in there. That's the world. That's life. And how, you know, all the things that had to happen in order for me to be in the cellmates I had and the bunks I had and the men I met and stuff, I can't do that. I mean, that's way beyond my pay grade. That's something bigger than me working. And I recognize that, and I'm grateful for it. And I have this attitude of gratitude. And there were men that they were tired of hearing how grateful I was. And I said, how can I not be grateful? I go, I just met a man that's going to be here for another 30 years. Why am I complaining? What right do I have to complain when I'm getting out? And that's why I kept telling them, we were in a substance abuse 6-month parole program to release. I go, you guys are complaining about this? We're leaving. They're letting us go. There's men that would trade places with us in a second. How dare me be ungrateful? So the first thing that happens near the end of my stay at the all-inclusive Texas Department of Criminal Justice is that I don't know, you know, what happens with parole. They said, well, you got to find a place to live. I go, what do you mean? And they said, well, you can't live by yourself. I'm like, okay. Do you have a family member? I'm like, no, my family is not really ready for this guy yet. And my mom loves it. And now during this time, I'm rebuilding this relationship. Mom, through God, you know, He can repair relationships if I keep trusting in Him. And we finally started talking and actually talking and not using as we had done for so many years. And she's like, you know, I'll help you. She goes, you just can't live with me. I go, I know. I don't want to. I'm tired of people saving me. I have to do this. But I need some help. At least the first month. I'm not stupid. And so we find a place, because they say you can find alternative housing. I'm like, great, alternative housing. Sounds awesome. Where do I go? And well, I'm in the law library. I'm a clerk at the law library. That's my job. They're like, well, you guys see it every day. I'm like, oh, it's that sheet that people ask for every day.
You're like, that's
So I find all these places. We find a place. It's the greatest place ever on paper. She calls. This is June of 2019. She's calling, and we love him. Can't wait to have him. Great. I get it approved. My parole plan's approved. I have a release date now in September of 2019. And she calls, yeah, everything's great. It's great. Can't wait for him. She sends him the money for the deposit and the first week's rent. And great. So I go to the Walls unit in Huntsville, and I'm released. And I get my discharge, my parole packet, and I open it up, and it says, you are to report to the Texas Southeast State, and I'm like, what? I go, that's not right. They go, what do you mean that's not right? I said, well, that's not right. I go and I pull out look, this is right. This is where I'm supposed to go. They go, oh no. That place isn't approved for paroles anymore. I go, what? How long? A couple months. I go, what? I go, well, what do I do? They go, well, you better report to this place by 5 o'clock. Now, it would be a lie if I said I didn't have an ounce of fear or a little bit of doubt going on at that moment, but I reminded myself, I'm leaving. I said I would do anything, God. I remember walking out to my mom's down the street from when you get released from this place. And I remember I'm going, I know I said I'd do anything you want. I assume you got something planned here, because I'm not sure what's going on. I was a little thought, and this is what I said, I thought I had it figured out. Well, that was me. There I go again, thinking I got it figured out. So I tell my mom, and I don't know what to do. So we go down to this place. And to make that long story short, it's a state-funded facility. It was worse than prison. I only spent 5 hours there, and I saw more drugs and alcohol than I ever did. And I saw a bunch in prison. And it is literally prison outside of prison. It was horrible. Now, I also said, God, if this is where you want me to be, I'm willing. I'm surrendering to the fact that, but I run into a guy, he comes around the corner that I had met at 2 previous units before, who was living there, and he remembered me, and if it wasn't for him, I don't know how long I would have stayed there, because I don't have a phone. My mom's outside with her boyfriend waiting, figuring out if I'm going to leave and go somewhere else with them, and I always joke, and I said, I love, even outside of prison, where y'all still have the prison mentality. He goes, I got to hustle. I sell cheese. He goes, let me sell some of this cheese, and I'll get you a phone to use. That's right. That's so classic. I love it. And, because they all have phones, but you're not supposed to. So I call my mom, tell her what to do, talk to the PO there. Finally, they just say, you know what? Because they wanted me to go live with my mom, the parole officers there at that place. They go live with your mom. Just go live with your mom. I go, I can't.
Like,
and I said, well, you better find a place first thing in the morning. If not, you're coming back here. And we're going to release you to your mom tonight, but that's it. And then, so that morning, I'm calling every one of these other names, and they're all full. Until I reach this last one that says Last Chance Recovery Center. I don't know anything about it. Now let me tell you everything that has happened and how God, when you surrender to Him and you just have some faith and a little patience and you let Him work it out, right? To get to the end, right? Because God has this end for you, and I want to go, this. He said, no, just go straight. I have this all figured out. Just trust me. So I go there. It's perfect. It's right on the bus line to the new Post Oak Club, where I had went to the Post Oak Club in the past, so now I can catch a bus every day. So now I can't find really good work because I have this recent, conviction. I'm doing whatever I can day job. And then I go into the club and I'm meeting men and I'm sitting there and I'm sharing my story, and I'm being present. Got a sponsor, I'm starting to work the steps again. And this man next to me says, I've been thinking about you, and I just wanted to see if you were really the real deal. We get a lot of guys come in and say all this great stuff, especially right out of prison, and then we never see them again. He goes, I have a job. I would love for you to work with me. I go, what do you do? And he, basically he buys product, from Amazon, and then he resells it. And I was like, great, where's the job? Right across the street from the Post Oak Club. I go, what?
That's awesome.
I go, you're telling me the job is right? He goes, yeah. He goes, come on, let's walk. We walked right across the street. Here's Post Oak, here's the job. Cross Long Point. So now, not only did God put me in the place that got me in a direct bus line to the Post Oak Club, which was my home group in the past, that now is on the same bus line that is directly across the street from a job for me? I mean, I don't do that. I'm Godzilla, right? I destroy that kind of stuff. That's God working. That is that whole essence that if I just surrender and give it to Him and give Him the time. A friend of mine will say, in order to receive blessings, you better be blessable. Meaning that you better do the work required, because that's how you get a blessing. The blessing doesn't come just because you're sitting there waiting. The peanut butter and jelly sandwich doesn't get made. God provided the peanut butter, and He provided the jelly, and He provided the bread. And He said, now put them together. So I get this. It's an amazing job. It's right across the street. I'm on a bus line. I'm 2 miles from my house. I can ride my bike. I can walk. I can do whatever. Part of my walk is to find a school to get to the bus stop. And those are hard mornings, because I see the families dropping off their kids, and I used to do that. And so I want to be sad about that. And I want my head to be down. And I want self-pity from that experience. But I keep reminding myself, I said, no, you said you trust you God. So that day, I look up. There's a crosswalk on. Now, I had every instinct and intention of mine was to put my head down and my eyes closed and just walk right by. And he looked up. And I looked up. And he doesn't need to stop traffic for me, because these cars are already pulling out and stuff. And he goes, he looked at me and he goes, I got you. Now, Ashley, I had such an epiphany at that moment. That had nothing, he may not have known what he was saying, but that was exactly what I needed to hear. That's God saying, I got you. Stop worrying and trust more. I got you.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
And so I started doing the Attitude of Gratitude guide around January this year. I've been out since September. And the reason why I started doing that was because there was something stirring in me, right? I don't want to save the world. I don't have that ability. I'm not God. I feel like He did so much for me. I want to share what He did for me. I don't want to tell anyone what to do. And so I said, I started writing, things down. So I started writing a blog, and then I started the Facebook page, and then I started doing these little video messages. And I don't know, people say it helps them. Great. You know who it helps? It helps me.
I've enjoyed them.
It helps me. It helps
in the
me.
warehouse.
Because you asked about the attitude of gratitude. I should not be sitting here with you. This is not where I was supposed to be when I was doing what I was doing. I should have got justice for all the hurt I've done to people. I, should have not had grace. I should have not got mercy. But guess what? I did. That's my God. That's what these steps teach me. It says, I heard a man say, he goes, I always believed in God, but I never met Him till I came into these rooms. What I missed out on when I first got sober, and I hate what I've done. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. Big Book doesn't tell me I can't hate what I've done. It just says try not to regret it, and don't shut the door on it. See, I didn't have that personal relationship. I never surrendered like this. I never accepted. See, the thing with surrendering is that I better have some acceptance right after that of what that means. You know, surrendering is just, I give up, 911, but surrendering and saying, thy will be done, meaning that you may not like what that is. It may not be pretty. It may be raw, and it may take time. See, the gratitude does not come from the outside today, and that has been the most valuable lesson that I've ever learned. And these steps have helped me clear this wreckage away so I can be in touch with God when He says that your gratitude comes from within, from with me, not from what I give you. Because see, my life was always focused on, I needed this, 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 and this. And guess what those needs were? Those were wants. See, I got that confused for a long time. My wants have less value today. I want things. I'm normal. I'm human. But my needs are met. These things become less valuable. They don't have the weight that I put on them. When I wake up and I remind myself, I woke up. Now I want to be pissy some mornings and I'm tired and I don't want to get up early and I don't want to do this stuff. I don't want to do it every day, Ashley. I don't. But I make I make a decision to. Sometimes it's forced but what happens is immediately when I finally get past my king baby syndrome, I'm filled with such an amazing connection. And I'm reminded, I woke up. How many millions did not wake up today? And how dare me not be grateful then to have this day? And what I've learned is that when I start my day that way, I see things differently, I think things differently, I feel things differently. You know, I change, and I'll take it back. During the day, I'll want to grab onto some things, but I have the tools. The program has taught me, how I can get out of self in a second. I get out of self. I go help someone. That's how I get out of self. There's a saying, what is God's will for me? Well, I know one thing is God's will for me is not to drink or use today. I know that for a fact. God's will never be for me to drink or use. After that, I really don't know what God's will is. When they say, well, do God's will, not yours. Well, I don't know. But I do know that if I help someone, that's probably lining up with what He wants. If I don't complain all the time, that probably lines up with what He wants. If I have some humility and be okay with, that probably lines up with what He wants. That's what God's will is, how I figure out what God's will is. I don't know if God's will is for me to have this job or live at this place. I don't know any of that. See, I want to tell Him what His will should be. See, that was always my mistake. I want your will to be for me to have this. And then He may want me to have it. But see, I'm being God. So today, I don't know what's next. I said this earlier, daily reprieve based upon the maintenance of the spiritual condition. See, I now know what that means by one day at a time. One day at a time early in sobriety means don't use that day. Now, in having this spiritual experience and having the psychic change that the book talks about, one day at a time means that this is all I got. I'm not promised tomorrow. I got to stop worrying about that. I assume it's going to turn out better than it was where I came from, right? And so why don't I just focus on me today? It's an inside problem. The problem is Todd. The one thing I did learn from the first time I worked the steps, when they told me alcohol and drugs were my problem, I remember hearing that the first day as a treatment. I go, what do you mean they're not my problem? That's why I'm here. Of course it's my problem. He goes, no. Todd's the problem. That was just a dysfunctional solution. My life had become unmanageable. I have a spiritual malady. And so today, I am reminded quite frequently, I don't know what He's got to do with me yet. But I just try to be my best me. That's all I got. That really is my focus. What goes on in the world today, ugly, hate it. That doesn't change how I'm still supposed to be working on me. The coronavirus, all that, none of that has any bearing on what work I need to do. The big book tells me job or no job, wife or no wife, kids or no kids, house or no house, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. can't use the outside as a reason, as a validation of why I should feel on the inside. I feel on the inside because of what I choose to feel. And I will work on choosing not to feel those things because I need to be working here. This loses its value. It doesn't have the importance. Makes me feel, I'm a human. I hate it, but I ain't got any control. I can't do a damn thing about it. What can I do? What can I work on? What can I fix? Well, I can keep doing the little things that God asks of me each day, and I'll be okay when I do that. I know today I will lay my head and I will be a little bit better than I was yesterday. I have yet to be a little worse than I was yesterday, but some days I'm just the same as I was yesterday. But I like to look at it, at least I'm not going backwards. Maybe stagnant, I get stagnant, but I know if I'm growing, I'm learning, and when I'm stagnant, I'm dying. Because eventually I will go backwards, because I can't stay stagnant very long. I want to end on this, and those that watch, this is my favorite question. I was asked this once, and I didn't know the right answer at the time. It says, if God came to you today, if God walked in this room right now and said, Ashley, I will guarantee you will never feel the pain, misery, and suffering that you used to feel ever again. I will make sure you never do. But this is as good as it's going to get. Would you take that deal?
Yeah.
Now, when I was asked that question the first time, I looked at it from an outside standpoint. Meaning that this is as good as it's going to get on the outside? That's as good as it's going to get? This sucks! I still live with men. I'm tired of living with men, for crying out loud. It's been 2 years. I haven't slept in 2 years. That's not what he said. He says that if I surrender to him, he will take all that pain and suffering away. And as good as it gets, meaning that I won't be in pain and suffering and misery again. I won't hurt people that I love. I won't take things that aren't mine. I won't forsake them anymore. See, I learned that what that question asked me is that, can I accept that God has better for me planned than what I see with my eyes and I can touch? And I struggle. And some days I do want. But I'm reminded constantly that if my needs are met, then the wants, they'll come. If they don't, they don't. So, that's all I got.
That was good. No, you did so good. You even made me cry a little bit. No, this was really good. Any shout outs you want to shout out to anybody at your house, or sponsor, embarrass some people?
No, they embarrass me enough. I don't feel I owe them anything back. So.
Okay.
But no, thank you for that.
You're welcome. So quick shout out to Transformation Enzyme for letting me use the space. Follow this on Facebook, and if you are not friends,
yes, please. Yes, I do want to do my own plug, I guess. I've never plugged before. This is new. No, you can definitely find my Facebook page as the Attitude of Gratitude Guy. It's literally the Attitude of Gratitude Guy. And I would love for you to follow and help me on this journey, because I need your help. I can't do this by myself.
And his personal page has some fun videos too.
Yeah, Todd Perry.
So thank you guys. This will be on obviously the Let's Talk Recovery Facebook page, as well as the YouTube channel. So like and share with all your friends. That is it for today, people. Bye.
Bye.